Hello and welcome to class. It's LDR814 Transformational Leadership. This is the Introduction and Overview session, and I'm Dr. Greg Parsons. I'm glad to see that you could find your way into the classroom. From my roster list, I think most of you have had a class or two from me previously. So the format of this class and the weekly videos should be no big surprise. I'm glad to see you all again, and I expect us to have a very inspirational and productive session over the next 8 weeks. But before we get started, I'd like to just mention one thing, and this may be puzzling some of you already. Those of you who have had LDR 813 with me previously, that's the Leading in the 21st Century class, thought we had already covered transformational leadership, and in fact we did. So why does this class say transformational leadership? Well, that's one of the vagaries of the bureaucracy. When I redesigned the leadership concentration for the DBA program, and we started shifting the various theories into different classes, it turned out that was easier to do than it was getting the name of the classes changed. So this is something that's in process. It will eventually be changed. This will at some stage no longer be called transformational leadership class. It'll be called something like leadership models or early leadership theories or something like that. To avoid any confusion about, well, when are we going to get to transformational leadership, those of you who haven't had LDR 813 will see the term show up now and then. In fact, we talk about it in the first week of the readings, but class is going to be covering theories of trait-based leadership theories, behavioral-based leadership theories, and contingency-based leadership theories, not specifically transformational leadership theories. So to avoid any kind of confusion about what we'll be doing in this class, and are we going to be redoing something we've already done? No, my attempt is, and this is kind of the cause of some of the confusion, my attempt was to distinguish the various theories, to kind of push them into their own classes so we could focus on specific theories in specific classes. And transformational leadership is not one of the theories we're going to be focusing on in this class. If this presents a question to you or an issue, get in touch with me and we can hash it out. But it's just to get out in front of the question about the title of the class and how it relates to other classes. First thing you should always do when you go into the classroom is go to your home page, where you then can look at the announcements. Generally, I'll be posting an announcement with a video link in it each week to kind of keep you up to date with any adjustments to the syllabus or further instructions that I'd like you to be following. So always go to the home page, always look for announcements. They're right there. Next, we're going to be looking at my biography. This is sort of a sample of what I'd like you to put into the classroom for your introductions. Now, I know you've both been around for a while and have done this a lot of times, so you probably already have one prepared. Put it in there. And this gives you a little bit of background about me, which you can read if you're interested. But more importantly, it provides contact information, my telephone number, which works for cell phone and text, and my email address. You can also use Ask Questions in the classroom. The required materials for the class are fairly inexpensive. You should already have the APA publication manual. Everything else will be coming out of the Kaiser Online Library, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later. Grading system is the standard Kaiser graduate school format, A's, B's, C's, and F's, no D's here, and you see the percentages that you need to achieve. As I said, we'll be using many articles out of the library, with the objective being that you're going to be searching through the literature for the particular topics and become much more familiar with the body of research that's been accomplished in the area of leadership. The assignments are laid out here. We'll have our 8 weekly discussions at 2.5% each, totaling 20%. Then we'll have a series of papers, one every couple of weeks. Week 2 we'll have a paper based upon the first couple weeks of literature that we've looked at. That'll be the trait-based leadership models,
Then we'll be looking at the behavioral leadership models. You'll be writing another paper about that. Then we'll be looking at the situational-based leadership models. We'll be writing a paper about that. We'll be looking at empirical testing of the theories of leadership, and then we'll be doing an overall review of the class. Okay, so those are the papers, and those are the weeks that they're going to be due. Late assignments, again, are not freebies. Unless you give me a good reason why you can't turn the paper in on time or can't get your discussion posts in on time, they will be penalized. You just have to let me know ahead of time that you're having a problem or you need some more time. Generally can work things out, but if they come in late and without any excuses, they will be penalized. Hopefully you got something. Plagiarism, we try to catch it with Safe Assign. All your assignments need to run through Safe Assign first. You can check the percentage matching report and see how you're doing there. Generally by this time in the program, this shouldn't be much of an issue. However, many times you're kind of tempted to use something that you wrote previously. Now I encourage you to use the ideas and use the references that you've used before, but you cannot copy and paste into an assignment. It's called self-plagiarism, and that will show up in Safe Assign, so watch out for that. Incomplete policy is something that is not encouraged, however it's available. If we end up getting near the end of the term and you've completed a lot of your work but you just can't finish the final papers and you feel like if you had a little more time you could do a much better job, we can talk about how we could work that out. There's some advantages to that, some disadvantages, so try to get your work on time, try to stick to the schedule, and but if this comes up at some point, there is a policy for getting an extension to the class. If you go to the Start Here section of Blackboard, you'll see a series of videos that I've put in, also some links to the library and also into the discussion posts. So I'll be talking about these more as we get into the class. Some of these you may have seen before. I tend to post the same videos on subjects that are important so that you can review them when you think it's appropriate. So I have some here about the literature review, peer-reviewed journal articles, scholarly writing, and so on. Now into the first week's assignment, and this is a good sample for the entire class. You'll have a topic, and the topic for week 1 is leadership models research, and here we're going to be looking at the trait-based models and how the idea of leadership traits first developed and what kind of theories were based on the idea that leaders would have certain characteristics, identifiable characteristics, height, looks, intelligence, outgoingness, communication skills, but there would be certain things that the leaders would have inherent that would make them more likely to become leaders. And we have some articles related to that. Each week we'll have a series of half a dozen to a dozen articles assigned readings that you're expected to read and include in your discussion posts as well as your papers. Okay, so here we have a few. Now you'll notice that the assigned readings are not given to you in a nice, neat package. You have to go into the library, you have to find them, and you have to download them. Now, I've made it fairly easy because all you have to do is copy the titles into the search of the EBSCOhost database, and it'll pull up this article. And then you simply download the PDF to your computer, and you read when you have time to read. I would suggest downloading everything, at least everything for the week, so you have it available when you have time to read. You don't have to get online, you have it down on your computer already. Okay, so if there's questions about how this is all going to work, it's all going to be based upon articles from the library, from peer-reviewed journal articles that are targeted around the topic that we're talking about. This introduces you to the idea of a stream of literature. When we get down to the assignment itself for the week 1, of course, is a brief introduction about yourself, brief biography, but then we're going to be talking about the origins of trait-based leadership theories, how these theories open the way for future theories. As we'll see during the class, theories build upon other theories. You just don't jump in at one point in time and come up with something that nobody else has ever thought of. In scholarly writing and academic research, new work is always based upon existing work. And what we'll see as we track through this class, that we'll see the trait-based theories provided some insight into leadership. Then we'll be seeing how the behavioral theories built upon the trait-based theories but added more to them. And then as we work our way further into the contingency theories, also sometimes called situational theories, we'll see how those built upon both the trait-based theories as well as the behavioral theories to develop more insight into leadership. And it's an important concept to grasp, because as you start thinking about doing your own original research, you have to find a stream of literature similar to what we'll be looking at in this class, something that you can tie the work you plan to do to. Okay, it just doesn't start on its own. It just doesn't sprout spontaneously out of your head. It has to be based upon what other people have done. Okay, so first week it's talking about the origin and evolution of trait-based leadership theories. So the keys to success. First of all, as I mentioned, download the assigned articles. Okay, get them in your computer so that you can look at them when you have time. You will be doing a lot of reading. Pay attention to the schedule, manage your time. The assigned readings are assigned, meaning they are required for your discussion posts and your papers. It's sort of like you can't say, well, I didn't want to read those, I decided to read these. Reading more is fine, but the assigned articles, I expect to see them referenced in your discussion posts and in your papers. When I send back comments and suggestions on your work, read them, pay attention to them, see how they can affect your future work, strive each week to improve. You should be better by the end of this class in all phases than you are in the beginning. If you have questions about any part of the class, the assignments, the readings, ask questions. This can actually be done right in the discussion part of the class, so that we can talk about questions that you may have about the topics, about the theories, about how they all fit together. So don't go through the class having questions that were unanswered. We have a fairly small class, which means that there's time for me and to deal with each of you and answer any particular questions. You have to look at this as kind of contributing to your own dissertation topic and your own dissertation work. So you have to build this into what your overall objective is, which is to complete your degree and have your dissertation finished. Okay, so until next time, I want to wish you goodbye and good luck, and I'll be seeing you in class.